Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Daily version of the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. It's been a crazy morning, I got to tell you. It's got to be like 9:45. Really late for the podcast. Got up this morning at a decent time, like 6:15. The baby was up. It was garbage day. Stephanie was in the shower. I had to take Samantha to school. We went out to breakfast this morning. It just, this morning just got away from me, man. Oof. And started recording the podcast. It was about 10 minutes in. And they called about my car lease, which is up and needs to be rolled. And I think I actually just, as I was doing the podcast, I just renegotiated my new car lease. So that's what my morning's been like today. I just, so instead of like just trying to start where I left off because I forgot where I was, we're just going to start it all over and do it all over again. So I want to talk about training and going into the weekend. It is Friday. 72 days to Lake Placid. So we got the weekend ahead of us. Everything seems great. Everything is great. Now, yesterday I woke up in the morning and I told you guys I had like a scratchy throat. I wasn't really feeling so hot. I was able to kind of plow through lower body strength training, followed by yoga. Got that done, which I was happy about. And then, I don't know, it's like a combination of, we've been talking about sleep and the importance of sleep, and I have not been getting enough. And I know I'm not getting enough. And I think it's starting to run me down a little bit. And part of it is I think I'm getting cold and I got the whole sore throat thing and it kind of went up to my sinuses and I was feeling kind of fatigued, sort of like that flu feeling that you get. And I was being a little extra cautious tonight last night and I wound up not doing anything after the yoga. So playing a little catch up here today. I got upper body strength training and yoga this morning. I was going to rest this afternoon. I wasn't going to do anything. And, we focused last week, the way we focused on our long run for Saturday, was that I treated it like a race, like race day, which is what we're going to do this weekend too. And so, I didn't want to kill myself on Friday. So last week I did nothing on Friday. The plan was to do nothing again today. But since I didn't do anything yesterday and I feel like I need not necessarily to catch up or do anything strenuous. I was supposed to do hills yesterday, didn't do them. I'm not going to do a strenuous bike ride tonight, but I might do a little bike ride, like an hour at maybe like a high cadence, low impact, low intensity type ride, just to get something in, burn some calories, and feel good about missing yesterday. The sore throat is kind of gone, but it's kind of like I got some sinus issues here. And it can go one of two ways. It can get a lot worse or it can get a lot better. And hopefully hopefully this is the worst it's going to be. It's just a little tiny bit. I can feel it. But Stephanie last week, she was sick. She was out for like a week with sinus headaches and like really bad sinus issues. And I hope I'm not going to get that. Now, I've been eating tons of oranges. I've been popping little emergency candies, emergency vitamin C pills. They're not pills. They're like these little chalky discs that are actually really yummy. So one of those things where you kind of take 4 or 5 during the day and then you'll read the label and you go, oh, it says max 2 per day. You're like, uh-oh, poison control. I don't advise taking more than 2 a day. I'm just saying yesterday, I may have taken a few, but hopefully the vitamin C helps. I got vitamin C poisoning. I am not a doctor, folks. Don't listen to me. That's the thing. So last week we did a half marathon on Saturday. Our long run was a half marathon. This week, I think we're going to bump it up to 14 miles. Now, I want to treat this like race day, like I did last week. I think that was part of the reason I had success last week was because I treated it like a race day. It was very important to me that I got it all done, and I did. Now, I had issues. I keep saying we because I feel like it's a team thing. So let's go with we. I like inclusion. It's inclusive, right? By the way, we got a new angle today with the camera. We can see the stuff in the background, I think. I like it. Anyway, but I like the inclusiveness. Let's go with we. So we last week when we finished the half marathon, I was in tons of pain. We were in tons of pain. Let me share my pain with you. We were in tons of pain. Everything was tight and sore, cramped up, and I kind of tied that to not having enough sodium in the system, not replenishing my sodium enough. I did bring water with me, and I scooped a little Gatorade into it, Gatorade endurance powder, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't as much as should be to concentrate it enough. Not to mention that because I'm going out and I ran like 6.5 miles and then refilled and then 6.5 miles. I have to be very kind of conservative when I drink it. So not enough sodium, not enough gels, not enough nutrition. We got to jack that up a little bit. We're going to do that this week. Try to do it the right way. And the way I look at it, not the right way necessarily, but we learned from last week, right? We learned the things I needed to adjust: more sodium, more gels, and I probably need to do water stops more often. So with me and the water stops, I used to do the water belt and I don't like it. And someone told me I should do the vest, and I don't really even want to try the vest. I just feel like it's carrying around a lot of weight. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make 2 stops at the house. Now, we talked about this last week, which is how stopping at the house is dangerous, because stop at the house once, maybe, yeah, it's fine. I get out and go again. Stop at the house twice, and it's sort of easy to kind of say, hey, I'm home. Let's just stay here. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to get in those bad habits. I want to kind of set myself up for success here. That being said, I think this is just the easiest way to do it. And I just got to adopt that mindset that no matter how much pain I'm in, when I stop that second time, I got to get my butt back out there and finish that third loop, whatever loop I'm doing, and get my distance in, because I have to really expand this stuff. Now, I'm not too flustered with the idea of only being able to run 14 miles if that's the case when it comes to Ironman. Because when I get off that bike and I hit the Ironman run course, chances are I'm going to be in a run-walk type of scenario anyway. Now, maybe you're saying, why don't you practice the run-walk in your training? And maybe I should. But I feel like it doesn't push me enough to get gains of fitness in. I feel like running 14 miles would be more, it would help my body gain more fitness than, say, doing a run walk for 11 or 12 miles or whatever, a little bit less, since it'll be slower. That's the whole plan. That's the whole thinking behind it. Not to mention that, hey, maybe I have such a great day on the bike that I get off and I feel good enough that I can run farther than I thought, and I don't take on that run walk strategy immediately. Who knows? We'll see. But the point of the matter is that for now, the idea is to run and to learn how my body feels when it's running, to adjust when it comes to nutrition, sodium, water, hydration, all that good stuff. That's the plan for tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. Now, Sunday. Haven't done an outdoor bike ride. The weather's supposed to be nice on Sunday. That's the plan. Sunday, the plan is get out and do the bike ride. I've only done 2 bike rides outdoors this year, which, hey, we're approaching May here, guys. Or June. We're approaching June. It's May 17th. I need to have more bike rides. I've done tons of work on the trainer, but I cap out at like 2 hours on the trainer. I just, I don't do well after that. So I've done a lot of very strenuous short rides, very intense short rides. But those long rides have been only really 2. And I did a 45 miler, and then I did a 65 miler or 65 or 70 miler with Laura. So, hey, I'd love to get out there and do another 70 miler on Sunday. That's kind of the plan. I might increase that. I might actually go out with the intention of doing an extra 20 and doing maybe between 80 or 90. That might be the plan. But I kind of want to leave that open for now. So right now, the thinking is 70-mile ride with the option to extend. Sort of like the lease I just negotiated. That's the plan, and we'll see how it goes. So, I hope you see what the thinking that goes into this stuff. And, I know a lot of people try to plan longer term, and I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, which I totally admit to. But I think that the circumstances around, sort of my more recent runs and how they've gone, and they haven't been well, except for last week. I kind of got to think, this is the way I got to do it, is I got to kind of do it on the fly. The only thing is what I can't do is I can't come here and say, all right, I'm going to run 14 miles tomorrow and then get out there and do 5. That would be bad. So 14 miles tomorrow. I'll be honest, I haven't focused on this run as much as I did last week when I was focusing on the long run all week. So, but I feel good. I feel good about it. So that's the way it is. That's the way we're set up. So I wish you guys good luck on your long runs this week, on all your workouts. I hope you got them planned out. I hope you get them done. I hope you enjoy Game of Thrones. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones in a minute. And then we'll circle back up on Monday, and we'll talk about training, talk about how things went, and talk about whether or not Game of Thrones is a complete disaster. That being said, let's move into that, because I promised you guys earlier this week that I would give you kind of like my theories as to what's going to happen. Everyone has theories, you know. I have scoured the nerd channels, all YouTube channels, all week, looking at different things. I don't know that anyone's really gotten my exact. Well, I know one of my theories. I'll give. This is my sort of like was it the Mary Tyler Moore show? Where they always, I don't know. I think Cheers was also a dream, wasn't it? I don't know. This is kind of my wacky ending that I would love. My wacky ending that I would love is that there's 3 people left in the world, and it's Jon Snow and Dany Targaryen and the dragon. So not 2 people and a dragon, and that they're ready to fight. This is the final battle, and all of a sudden they kind of like morph into little plastic figurines, and the camera pans back, and the entire series has all been a bunch of nerds in some guy's basement playing Dungeons and Dragons. I would love that. And it would be such a stupid curveball, and everyone would be so pissed off that it would be so worth it. I don't know. That's theory number 1. The likeliness of that happening, less than 1%. Man can dream, though, can he? Theory number 2. Well, theory number 2 kind of ties in. By the way, I know, spoiler alert, right? We want to do this spoiler alert thing. Christ. By the way, if you're watching the most popular show on Earth, and you aren't up to date on it, and you're holding back a season so you could binge watch it, you lazy whatever, so you can binge watch a Sunday the entire season, you deserve all the spoilers you hear. You need to sequester yourself somewhere offshore and just go into a lead cell. And I don't buy this spoiler stuff. If you're on social media and you haven't watched the show and you don't want me to spoil it for you, and it's the most popular show on Earth, tough. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not my fault. That's what I'm going with. And I'm serious. I'm not in a good mood today. I'm not forgiving. Anyway, move on. So here's there's 2 things that I think need to happen in this episode. And really, I have a third that I think kind of needs to be tied in, but it's kind of a little bit off kilter that I don't think it will. Number 1 is, we've gone through 5 episodes this season of a 6-season series, and Arya spent multiple seasons off continent studying to change her face. Right? That's what she studied. And she hasn't done it all season long. And it's the most obscure, wonderful talent, entertaining talent. And for them to hold that back from us all season, I think is ridiculous, number 1. I just think it's totally ridiculous. But number 2, if she doesn't change her face in this episode at some point, the producers of the show, they need to be murdered. Now, of course, one of you clowns out there will probably be like, oh, we have the license to murder, so let's go murder. I'm just kidding. But if they were, I wouldn't feel bad about it. Not too bad, at least. I mean, come on. So the face changing has to happen. It has to happen. How it's going to happen depends. And I think at this point, it has to be at a high level. Like, it has to be at like someone major dying, and her taking them over. And who could it be? Who could it be? Maybe they realize that Daenerys is such a crazy lunatic and they kill Daenerys, and then Arya takes her face and becomes queen. Not a bad idea, right? Not a bad idea. I'll throw that out there as an idea. Could happen. The number 2 thing, though, that needs to be resolved, that needs to be discussed, is Bran and his power of, his seeing the future, seeing the past, all this stuff. Now, for Bran, everything is happening at once, right? He can go to the future, he can go to the past. I don't know if he can go to the future, but there's certainly a way he can see the future. Can we just agree on that? There's a way he can see the future. And I'll take that back. The conversation he had with Tyrion, he was like, oh, I've had, it's a long story, whatever. And Tyrion said, I want to hear it. He goes to talk to Bran. They have a conversation. In the next scene, Tyrion is hanging out with all the people when Jaime knighted Brienne. And Tyrion tells him, I think we might all survive this, the Battle of Winterfell. And everyone in that room survived. How did he know? Well, he just got out of the room with Bran. And then the next episode starts off, before the battle, him and Bran exchange this look like, I get you. Like there's something going on here. So Tyrion knows a lot more than we think. And here's a guy who, I mean, he is going to get the information, right? He is not a guy who's just going to say, oh, Bran, you're just like, you warg into animals and you can see into the past and you know all this stuff. Like, no, he is going to get more information. He's going to get as much information out of Bran as he can. Now, my sense is this. Bran's attitude, obviously, he's like a quiet guy. He doesn't ever like really get involved or talk. My thought is this, is there's a little bit of a time travel element here, right? It's sort of like the butterfly effect where Bran knows he can see he can kind of see a little into the future, but he knows he can affect the past. And he also knows that the past, if he affects it, can affect the future because of Hodor, right? The whole hold the door thing. So he knows that, anything he does might affect what he sees in the future. That's the thought. Now we're getting a little into my theory. So my thought is that his stoicism, and I say stoicism, that might not be the right word, but sort of like, his lack of desire to get too involved in anything is, I think, because he doesn't want to change what his visions are of the future. Whether that comes out or not, whatever. It's my own theory. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I like it. My thought is, what if things get so bad, right? Now, I would have liked to see, because I feel like if he can see the future, he would, because remember there was a vision that he had of the dragon going over King's Landing. So if he could see into the future and knew that Dany was going to blow up King's Landing, why didn't he try to warg into the dragon or do anything about it? He didn't. I don't understand that. Like, why wouldn't he change things if all these innocent people were to die? Like, I don't necessarily picture Bran accepting that. So my thought is this, is that things get so bad and, the battle between Jon Snow and Dany get bad and people die and the dragon's killing people and things get really out of control, that the only way for Bran to save it is to go back in time and to make a drastic change. My theory is this, is that we see him go back in time and sort of warg into himself, if that's possible, sort of similar to the way he did to Hodor. And that day in season 1, episode 1, where he climbed the tower and Jaime Lannister pushed him out and then he could never use his legs again, we see him warg into himself, get ready to climb the tower, and then decide, you know what? I think I'm going to keep these legs. And that changes everything going forward. Now, granted, I've thought about this a lot. And obviously, if he does that, then the Night King doesn't die, right? He's back. I've seen a lot of theories about Jon Snow going back to rebuild the wall. And I'm like, well, the Night King is dead. What's the reason for the wall at this point? You don't need the freaking wall, right? And then there's another theory that the closing scene is going to be they're going to find bodies in a spiral pattern like we've seen, meaning the White Walkers are still around. That's crap too. The whole premise of the White Walkers, right, was you kill the leader, all of them die. I mean, the only thing I could see was, again, it was season 1 or 2 or 3, one of the earlier seasons. Remember, they took the baby, and they took the baby with them. The baby became the White Walker. We didn't see the baby die, right? Maybe if the baby, it was like miles and miles away, 200 miles away up north, that even if the Night King died, the baby doesn't die. Now, maybe that baby is somewhere being taken care of and becomes the next Night King or becomes a White Walker. Who knows? I'm thinking. I've been thinking a lot about this. You could tell. But I do like the thought. I mean, look, Bran can go back, get his legs back. Everything changes, right? All the Game of Thrones changes. The whole entire game, the whole entire chessboard goes back. Bran still knows things now, right? He knows the origin of Jon Snow. They can try to change things that way. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if maybe he can go back and change the past and stay there, or if he has to go back and change the past and then come back. I don't know. Who knows? You start getting into time travel and there's just like too much going on. It's like It's like the whole. I mean, geez, I think the one that did it best was just Back to the Future. There's too many like Stephen Hawking level questions you have to answer when it comes to time travel, and I think that they really have done us a disservice. If you're going to have a character go back in time and witness like the birth of Jon Snow and the death of Lyanna Stark and the whole Hodor thing, and all that stuff, you got to kind of explain it better, and they really haven't done that. And so there's that. Now, the third thing I was going to mention is a group of characters that had a lot of power that were relied on for major parts of the story, army building and financing, and it's the Iron Bank. Now, you think about our characters, the characters we're watching, went and begged the Iron Bank for money. Iron Bank is giving Cersei money, giving Stannis money. The Iron Bank controls everything. And yet we don't, and really, it's a pretty good real life metaphor right there, right? The Iron Bank. I mean, the way we look at finance in this country, these guys rule the world. And yeah, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but geez, it's like, oh, here we are all worried about little tiny things like, let's take it to Westeros, right? Like dragons and White Walkers. And meanwhile, the Rothschilds of the Iron Bank really rule the world. You know what I mean? You see what I'm getting at? Haven't heard from them. They don't care. I mean, they have a very steep interest on who wins this battle, and yet they're not trying to influence anything. Why haven't we heard anything? I mean, I really kind of think that's another major issue, because I know that if you were loaned billions of whatever their currency is, like gold dragons or whatever their currency is, if you were loaned all this money, and their entire investment is based on you winning a battle or winning a war, they're going to be more involved. Bankers just don't hang out across the continent and not get involved, right? I mean, they don't. They have an interest. They're going to be monitoring the situation and controlling the situation as best as they can. That being said, I think it's a long shot that the Iron Bank even gets mentioned in the next episode. And really, it's just like the Dornish woman who was in prison, who, apparently I'm assuming is now dead, but she was not a light enough character to not get mentioned in last week's episode. Just a forgotten footnote. She was involved. And I look at I still look at Bran as he missed an entire season. He wasn't even in the show for a whole season, and he's got to play a major part in the finale. How do you leave a major character out of an entire season? I don't like the way that they did this. I think that this is going to be a total disaster. I think that the questions that need answering, there is a good chance that they're not going to get answered. The chance of them throwing a curveball that we don't see and it not leaking, I think that's a light chance. I don't think there's a big chance that something, so I'm trying to think of a refreshing way to do this. I do think that, like, if we see a scene where Bran goes back and decides he's not going to climb the wall to get pushed out and basically he doesn't become, really, if that happens, he doesn't go north. He doesn't go in that little sled. He doesn't lose his legs. He doesn't become the Three-Eyed Raven. And then how much disappears, right? I don't know. Maybe because he was the Three-Eyed Raven and then went back in time and then decided not. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. So just to give you guys some things to think about. And some theories, because I'm trying to think a little bit out of the box, because this show has done nothing but been out of the box for, probably the first 5 or 6 seasons and all downhill since. I didn't really enjoy season 7 as much as I had hoped. Season 8 has been a total disaster. And I do understand that it's harder to deconstruct a story than to construct it, but I feel like I've been wronged. I feel like, and this episode is going to have to do a lot to come back from that. So hell, give me the Dungeons & Dragons nerds version. I think that would be awesome. That's my guess. And that would just piss off everyone with a YouTube channel. Everyone who's been working for years to build up their YouTube channel on their fan theories. They just be like, because they're like the people that get insulted by stuff like that. Anyway, and I should be insulted, but I would think it's great if they did that, but they won't. They won't. Give me some kind of surprise, guys. Please, just give me something. Give me something that when I watch this episode, I'm just going to remember. And I'm not going to be pissed off like when I finished Lost. And I'm not going to be pissed off like and I didn't watch Sopranos, but man, there were a lot of pissed off people at Sopranos. A lot of pissed off people. I don't want to be that on Sunday night. I don't want to lose sleep. I want to get up Monday and say, wow, that was kind of interesting. Wow, that was pretty cool. That's what I want to wake up on Monday. And I don't have high hopes for that, but we'll see. We'll see. And I think, listen, the only thing I'll say as we sign off here for the day, listen, let's go back to just get your plans done this week, guys. Just, even if you're excited about Game of Thrones, don't let it ruin your weekend. And B, have an open mind. We all get critical about this stuff. Me, obviously, too. And I think one of the things that we have to realize is that there are humans behind this stuff. And they might be millionaire humans who are callous about our feelings and don't do their best. But there are humans behind this. So just because it's not what you wanted, it's not the ending you wanted, don't crush it right away. Give it some thought. Yeah, it's a disaster so far. I agree. I'm holding out hope that there's an answer here for everything. And I don't think I'm going to be satisfied with whatever happens and whatever comes out. But I'm trying to keep an open mind here. And I'm trying to, I know I'll have questions and I know there'll be puzzles that aren't answered. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to these things, especially when you're talking about think about the number of different characters and personalities that they've developed over the years. And they can't finish everything. You want them to finish everything, but they can't. And they certainly couldn't do it in six episodes. So I'm willing to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I just want a good explanation. And I hope we get that on Sunday. So with that, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys get your stuff done. I hope we all don't wind up killing ourselves over Game of Thrones on Sunday. And with that, remember, every day is an ordinary day. It just takes you to make it extraordinary. So get after it today, guys.
Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel.